Hey friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Liz. Thank you for practicing with me today or spending a little bit of time with me. I feel really grateful that you're listening to me. Today's class is going to be focusing on your hands, your wrists, and your elbows and your shoulders. So kind of warming up your arms a little bit. The asana practice, the physical practice of yoga, is a lot of weight bearing on the hands. And if you're a yoga teacher, you can use a couple of these exercises, making sure to thread them into the class a little bit. They can be used in between sets just to kind of give people a little break. If you're a student or a frequent practitioner of the yoga practice, you can use these as you're preparing for your class to start. You're on your mat, everyone's kind of getting settled, and you're taking some time to warm up your wrists. I think it's a highly neglected part of the practice, especially because teachers want to kind of get into their flow. They want to do their more typical classes. But if you want to do calisthenics, if you want to do strong plank poses, if you, of course, just want to be able to endure a long vinyasa class, a 60-minute vinyasa class without joint pain, which can happen pretty quickly, right? Your muscles, your tendons of your wrists and your hands tend to get inflamed pretty quickly. So working on that, it's just keeping the blood flow moving, increasing your range of motion, and that's what we're going to focus on for the class today. You can always use blocks. So blocks are a great way. These are pretty squishy. For students and teachers to know that putting something underneath your hands is going to help a little bit too. So blocks are under the hands or the palms are on the ground, but the classic wrist warm up is shoulder circles. So circling your shoulders around your wrists. Maybe you're leaning forward, you're leaning back, you're going side to side. Right, so you're basing into the palms, you're spreading through the hands, and maybe even there's a little grip in the finger pads so the knuckles come off the ground. So you're really feeling that Hasta Bandha energy that travels up into the shoulders, right? So kind of working into that a little bit. And then sure, these can be circles, these can be spirals, they can also be like figure eights. You can start to bend your elbows and work into it. Maybe the chest comes forward a little bit. Maybe it goes back. And then always find something in the opposite direction. So I literally just taught a yoga class like 30 minutes ago. They just left. And my wrists, I already need a warm up. Right, so our bodies go back into stiffness pretty quickly. So this is just like already feeling so nice. So standard positioning of your hands is wrists are under the shoulders. You've got this nice big base and fingertips, your middle fingers are facing forward. You could also slightly externally rotate your hands and maybe even walk your wrists forward, right? You've given yourself a bigger base, your chest is spread out a little bit more, and that'll take a little bit of pressure off of your hands. And then again, it's more in the upper back, it's more in the shoulders, so you'll feel less weight. You can even tell, like when you put your hands like this, how does my hands feel? Where's my weight in my hands? And then when I open up my hands a little bit, how does that feel? Notice the subtle differences. So yoga practice, you want to notice those subtle things, right? You want to be aware of what is the best positioning for me, or what are my options, right? Really, what are my options? Because every single day is different. And you might strain your wrist one day and you might be like, I want to go to yoga, but I also want to be able to, I don't want to injure myself again. So you're going to know, I need a bigger base. I need to use my blocks. Maybe I need to take a break and bring my forearms down to the ground, right? I can still be warming up my shoulders like this, right? And as a yoga instructor, you should be making sure and reminding your students about all of these things, right? So we're going to continue here. Okay, so circles, circling the shoulders, keeping the weight moving. And then from here, another option too is to lift up one hand and just circle around on one hand. So bear a little weight. You're not going into a full side plank here. Maybe you're circling. Yeah, maybe you're threading your needle here. If you want to take a couple of those, but you're just exploring. Maybe the hand comes behind you and you're bending in your elbow. That feels good. Maybe you're shifting your weight forward. And if you do it on one side, you got to do it on the other, right? Other hand comes behind. Maybe you're opening and circling and closing. Maybe you're taking some threaded needle. That can be really good for the chest and stuff. Or you're just basing into your hands. Nice. Circling it around. Awesome. So again, this is less of a class where I'm just barking at you and giving you the sequence. And I want you to take from this and explore what's interesting to you. And notice, clock, do threaded needles really help? And of course, those are beautiful, right? Warming up the shoulders. It's also twisting, so you're warming up your spine a little bit. And of course, you're kind of preparing that hand. So every time you open up and you bear weight onto your hands, you would even keep opening up side to side. That might feel really, really nice. Using your breath. Nice. Okay, so now next would be to flip your fingers towards the edges of your mat. And then bend your elbows a little bit. Bring your chest down and push the ground away and hips go back. Lean forward, bend your elbows, lower the chest, come back up. Boom. Keep doing that a couple times. So here, you're continuing to warm up the wrists. Next, fingertips maybe flip towards your knees. Here we go. Shifting around, same, just keeping it moving. And then from here, I think this is a great positioning. This is a great setup for your hands to work into cat-cows. So spending some time moving through the spine, lifting your heart on a breath in. And as you exhale, round, push the ground away, drive into the tops of the feet, drive into the hands. Big stretch. If at any time you start to feel this is too much on my forearms, A-okay. Flip the fingers towards the edges of your mat. Flip your fingers back towards the top of the mat. But if you can work into this range of motion in your forearms using cat-cows and holding this position for 5 to 6 rounds, that's really, really good, right? Really nice, good sort of goal to do. If you can hold this for about 5 to 6 cycles of breath as you move through your spinal extensions and flexions, and keeping this positioning of your hands from here. Nice, once again. Beautiful. Bring your hands back towards their normal positioning. And then option, now we're gonna floss through the back of your wrists. So you'll make fists with your hands. Fists will come together, backs of the hands come onto the floor. And you're gonna push into the back of the hand as you bend and straighten your arm. So a little bit of load, it's not a lot, right? Weight is still in your shins. If you wanted to walk your hands back and create a little bit more work there, you're bending and straightening, bending and straightening. Really good for the backs of the hands. Lots of good stuff here. Nice. For 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, release. I always like to sort of find that, sort of feel the first couple breaths, maybe 4 to 5 breaths, and then I do a little countdown, maybe a 10 countdown or a 5 countdown, depending on how long, how much time you have, right? But just kind of, that's a good parameter, that's a good measurement to decide how long you want to kind of stay in something. Another great wrist warm-up is sitting on your shins. You can always place a block in between your ankles to support this. Arms reach overhead, and you're squeezing your hands and opening the palms. Squeezing and opening. Squeezing and opening. Make a fist, open your palms. Make a fist, open your palms. So, and then you can start to pick up your pace a little bit. Maybe you're inhaling, maybe you're doing some Kapalabhati breath, right? Maybe there's some... just an option. You don't have to do it. It's just an idea, right? But you can open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close. And this is where, once you get the hang of it, now 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, nice. Shake it out. Lots of work here too. Shake out your wrists. Nice. And then again, classic, roll out your wrists. This is so good. You can even interlace your hands, and take your wrist like this. But just moving, making sure you're kind of moving these joints, man. There are so many muscles. They do so much for us every single day. And the more attention and the more love that you give towards this part of your body, it's all going to pay back, right? And then, of course, it's just like nice to do. Nice. Awesome. Another thing to do too is working through the control you have in your wrists and your elbows. So I like to do these. It's going to be knees are on the ground. You're going to go from a high plank to a low plank. So you're going to just drop your shoulders back. So you'll shift your weight back. You'll bring your forearms down to the ground and then lift back up. And then shoulders lean forward. So lean the shoulders back. Hips go back towards the heels. Drop your forearms to the ground, wrapping your triceps in, pushing through the forearms, and rising back up and shifting the weight forward. So a couple of these. Maybe the toes are tucked, that I feel like too. So we could have this whole conversation with our feet, right? Same working into the toes and things like that. Once you start to get comfortable, next time you roll forward, can you lift your palms and lean into the finger creases, lower the palms, lower the forearms. Lift onto the wrist, bear the weight into the hands, lift your palms, lower the palms, lower the forearms. Lift your forearms, lift your hands, lower your palms, lower the elbows. Nice. Take a moment here. And then come back to stack the shoulders over your wrists, and you'll just do that same. So grip through your finger pads, grip through the fingers, and just lift the palms up, and then lower them back down. Lift the palms up, lower them back down. Lift them up, lower down. Lift them up, lower down. Lift, lower, lift, lower. Nice. Very good. Again, always nice to kind of stretch things out a little bit. Another thing that I like to encourage people to do is paw the earth. So like lift and lower the hands a couple times. Rotate the hands around. Keeping things moving. Lift it up, shift your weight, place it down, do something different, right? Kind of move things around here. Notice how maybe your hands walk back, right? Notice this would be an eventual arm balance, right? Bend your elbows. How does it feel? So I'm a big proponent that my style of teaching yoga is always, I want people to explore, be exploratory, be curious, because you are the expert of your body and you really know like what's working for you, what isn't working for you. Nice, so working into that. And then another great so this is more of a sequence. This is more of a pose to pose, but it would be a plank series. So you'll step back, you'll find your high plank pose. You'll pause here. So work into your plank. Drive through the heels, belly pulls up and in towards your spine. Keep your crown of the head moving forward. Your chin stays off your chest. You're pressing into the floor, nice and strong through the upper back. And then you shift your weight onto your right. Let's say you're right. You find a high plank on your right side. High side plank. Left arm reaches up. Take a big breath in here. Take a big breath out. And then come down, so you're shifting your weight. Now the left forearm is gonna come down. This is where using your toes, big deal. Heels drop over to the left. Now you're on your left forearm. Right arm reaches up to the sky. Maybe you roll out your right wrist, really lifting through the hips, strong through the core, big breath in. And then as you exhale, the right forearm comes down. You find a forearm plank. Hold forearm plank, set up, take your time here. Adjust, shift your shoulders forward. Kind of same as we've been working with. Nice, and then base through the right forearm, heels drop over to the right, drive into the right forearm, lift the left arm up. Big breath in and out here. Nice, big breath out. Left hand comes down, now you have a full side plank on your left side. Left forearm comes down, right arm comes up. Nice, big breath in, big breath out. Right hand comes down, nice. So you've done high plank, low plank, and then maybe you take one more round of that. Right? Heels drop to the right, side plank, right hand. Big breath in, big breath out. Inhale to prepare. Left forearm comes down on the exhale. You're rotating, so this is also helpful with core control, with hip movement. Press into the left forearm. Right forearm goes up to the sky. Big breath in. Big breath out. Right forearm comes down. You hold forearm plank. Big breath in. Big breath out. Right forearm bases. Forearm side plank, right side. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Left forearm comes down. Rotate. Side plank, left side. High side plank. Inhale. Exhale. Right hand comes down. Take a moment. And then maybe some push-ups, right? Push-ups are great too. Working into basing into the hands. Knees can always be on the ground. Core is always engaged. Keeping your chest nice and lifted, nice and controlled push-ups, right? Finding any adjustments of your hand placement so you can really work into this space. Nice. Couple more here. And then when you're ready, find your downward dog. So down dog, pedal your feet, hips to the sky, and drive through the hands. Feel all that energy that you've created in your wrists. Drive into that palms. Feel the Hasta Bandha energy, that energy up from the palms into the shoulders. Really active. Head is heavy. Your neck is long. Side of the neck is long. And you're just feeling the push. You're pressing in through evenly through both hands. Sometimes we have a more dominant side. So notice those little subtleties, right? Pay attention. Where do I put more weight? Can I get nice and heavy? Can I find some balance, some symmetry? And then inhale, lift your heels, big, big bend in your knees. Think about rolling forward. Find high plank, knees down to the floor. Nice. Another option here, or excuse me, another move, we'll move through some cat-cows, inhaling and exhaling, rounding through the spine. Moving, so flexion, extension in your spine, right? I like to think about moving from my tailbone and the upper back is sort of that last little piece to unfurl with every one. Tailbone tucks under, mid-back rounds, upper back protracts, you push, push, push the ground away. Inhale, spread the hips, open the glutes, open the heart, lengthen the collarbones. Nice. So moving in between these spaces. Everything's connected, right? So yeah, we might be focusing here on the wrists, but the spine, it all works together. Start to incorporate the elbows a little bit. Notice, how does it feel? Do I like to soften my elbows here? Do I like to wrap the eyes of the elbows forward? Does that feel better? Does that feel more protective? Does that feel more spacious or supportive for my shoulders? And then last but not least, this is gonna be a big one. It's gonna be, I call them spinal waves. So great way to warm up your student's spine and also help them kind of like stabilize through the hands a little bit and feel their body moving through space in these places. It's a really, really good exercise, right? So hips go back, pedal out your feet, big breath in and out here. And then you lift your heels, big bend in your knees. Lift your hips, same as you were doing. Roll, slowly roll, unwind through the mid-back, the upper back. Spread your collarbones forward, drive through the heels, find your high plank pose, and then bend your knees, hips pull you back. Feet can be hip width distance, maybe more like inner hip width distance as you reach and you find your down dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, send your hips to the sky as you roll and unfurl. Thinking about those cat-cow-like spines as you unfurl, nice strong high plank pose, and then bend your knees, downward facing dog. One more time. Inhale, roll forward. Exhale, down dog. And so hopefully your hands are really feeling this strength, this connection, this energy. Also, maybe you even bounce your upper body through the arms. Nice, knees come back down, take a rest, roll out your shoulders. Nice, roll your neck. Breathe. Nice. And notice how you feel, notice how your hands feel. So a lot of weight, I mean, I just did like I spent just a couple minutes in down dog and on my hands, and there's a ton of blood flow goes to the hands. So just make sure you're really paying attention here. Nice. Taking some time in tabletop one more time. And then a nice little, release here would be to come on, of course, onto your belly, taking your weight off your wrists. Palm goes out to the side. This is a nice stretch here. Left hand is under the left shoulder, wrist, elbow in line with the shoulder. Bend your left elbow and roll over the side body, over the hip to get a stretch into the shoulder. Maybe the head comes down. Take a couple big breaths in and out here. And then switch sides when you're ready. Right hand comes under the right shoulder, left hand goes out to the left. Bend your right knee, roll over the left hip. Take a little stretch here. And then unwind. Of course, last one, which would be a nice restorative shape after this, would be child's pose. Blocks can come underneath your hands. Child's pose is great too, especially if you're starting a class. This is awesome for beginning to get into your hips and your spine, and then you can place your forearms on blocks and roll out your wrists this way. You can open and close your wrists a couple times too. And then you can really breathe into your upper back and maybe even bounce a little bit. I like to encourage my students to just take some bouncing to get into the shoulders a little bit. Again, maybe melting, taking some really solid full breaths in and out here in your child's pose. And that is my little video for you today. I hope this was helpful. I hope it allowed you to just start to think critically about bearing weight onto your hands and how that looks like for you and how that looks like for your students, making sure to really sometimes just looking around the room and paying attention to how people are setting up. And most of our yoga students aren't teachers, and they're not thinking about yoga all the time. Maybe you're not even either. But essentially, when it does come time to place your hands and go into tabletop, into cat-cows, into downward facing dogs or planks and things like this, people aren't really considering the alignment and the placement of their hands and their wrists and their elbows and all that relationship. And I think it's really, really important, as well as changes the game of the yoga practice a lot. So make sure to think about these things in your practice. Make sure to encourage your students and the people around you, as well as people that are just in fitness, doing plank. And it's a very wise, smart way to also avoid the little injuries that can pop up, the flaring that can retract you from your practices if you have an injury. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.